Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Win City Investors Club Tuesday Talk Series, the no holds barred, no bullshit show where we bring on expert investors and pick their brains on what made them so successful so we can replicate it and do the same for our own success. I'm your boy, Real Estate Investor Sav, the host of the show, and today I want to introduce my two realtors, the most real estate investor-friendly realtors in the whole of Windsor, Ontario. Jeremy Suma from eXp Realty and Jeremy Suma, Aditya Suma from eXp Realty. I got it confused, guys.
Did we combine?
McGraw from Century 21. What is it? Diamond Platinum?
Remax.
Oh man, I'm like Diamond. All over the place. It's 2021, guys. Excuse me. I'm so into it that I've completely lost it. Okay, I'll let you guys introduce yourself. Welcome, guys.
Probably that's the excitement for New Year.
Man, I'm super excited for 2021. How you guys been? How's your holidays, if there were any, and how's the year started off for you guys?
Man, first of all, thank you, Sav. Good to be back on the Win City Club. So, 2020 was a fantastic year. Definitely ended up with some COVID there.
Oh, shoot.
Did you?
Recovered.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's been already a month. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, totally.
I'm sure we're going to see a YouTube video on that one, Aditya.
It was already updated by like.
Oh really? Okay, I gotta send me that link. I gotta do that. All right, cool, man.
It's been already like a month.
And okay, so what's the summary? The 20
summary, it's not that scary. The COVID is not that scary. It's just that you gotta build a solid immunity. 3 days, little bit worst, but after that, pretty normal. And back to business, back to normal.
Perfect. Good to have you back, man, and healthy. That's important.
Thank you. Definitely 2020 was a super interesting one. I know, sad in terms of COVID situation, but great in terms of real estate, because, especially if you're an investor, been investing in Windsor, you have seen pretty good equities. And I bought some building, I bought a duplex, couple properties, and sold over 100 properties. So it's a fruitful year. So
awesome. Maybe it was look at it as a blessing in disguise. Maybe it was a forced rest.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. Cool. That's how I took it.
All the best to your 2021, man. Hopefully you will explode those numbers and overachieve. What you're planning to do. I hope you got your objectives written down, and we're already January, man. Most people have already forgotten about their resolutions or the objectives. But I keep telling you, you got to write it down. If you don't write it down, it's never going to work, right? So I
have a mini board right there in front of me. That mini has my top 4 things that I want to do.
Awesome.
Every day.
Perfect. Jeremy, how about you, man? What's going on? Or are you frozen? I think Jeremy's frozen there. Okay. Well, while Jeremy's thawing out, I'll go a little bit as well. So, I think we're talking about objectives. One of my objectives for 2021 is really to give back to the community, right? Because as an investor, I've taken so much from the investing community, whether it be in Windsor or Oakville, where I was before, the GTA, the Golden Horseshoe area, with all the free podcasts and the meetings that people had and all these events that were put out. I took so much, and one of my goals this year is to really give back. And I committed to myself that these Tuesday Talk series, which was supposed to be a bi-weekly event, I got to be more consistent. It's a free information exercise, if you will. We want to bring expert investors here. We want to pick their brains. So people who are coming onto the show, if you've been here before or if it's your first time right now, you can get this information and it's totally for free, right? And we want to encourage that discussion. So if you are the first time on this show, use that chat group. I have it over here, I got my phone, so I'm following the chats and the questions, guys. Use the chat group. We have quite a few people online right now, and ask questions. What we're talking about, and especially about Windsor, ask questions, because if you can't get an answer over here, I'm not sure where else you're going to get an answer from. So if Aditya or Jeremy or myself don't answer right now live your questions, I'm sure there's going to be somebody in this group who has the experience of the situation that you're going through right now, and you can get the answer live. So initiate that discussion. All right, get those questions coming in, and we'll try and get the answers to you. Jeremy, you're thawed out now. So how's it going? What's going on, man?
It's still like lagging there for a second for me there. But anyways, yeah, good. 2020 was a great year. I came in with super high expectations, and you make mistakes and you learn. And obviously, I had a big change this year. I basically went my own, well, with a teammate there, and then we basically teamed up. So that was probably the highlight of my year, was transitioning from basically a team member to a team lead, I guess you would say, and
Nice.
going on your own or just going and starting completely fresh. It was definitely, you have to learn to put a lot of things into play there, and that would be one of the biggest things. So my goal this year is just basically try to automate as much stuff as I possibly can. So between my investing, my real estate, my other ventures, right? I want to try to automate as much stuff as I possibly can so I can provide the most and be able to not burn out as much. That was the one thing I thought I could take away from anything, is the mental health. Going into November and December, I was absolutely mentally drained, and it wasn't the greatest, right? So basically that would be the one thing I would have to say, is putting the things into place. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row, and there's a lot of systems out there, and basically sometimes, especially as an investor, everyone's been told to kind of keep your wallet closed. Sometimes the best thing to do is to open your wallet up a little bit more and invest not only in yourself but in everything around you.
I love it. I love it. That's super advice, and I'm so happy to talk to you guys because, since I've been in Windsor, which is now coming close to 3 years, and we've introduced ourselves to each other. I love to see you guys grow, man, because every time we talk, I see the growth in your personal lives and your personal and your business as well, which is amazing for me because, I'm going through the same thing myself. So I can see that other investors are experiencing those same kind of challenges. And if we all work together and we talk about it and we come to communities like this is going to help all of us grow, right? And that's the whole point of this kind of discussion. Cool. All right. Speaking of growth, let's talk about Windsor, the hottest market in the whole of Ontario, in our opinion, of course. The growth has been crazy for those of you who have invested before. And I can tell you, just talking to other people and going through the other forums online, Windsor is on the map, man. And I'm going to blame 3 of us over here because we're the ones who are putting it on the goddamn map, right? When I came here 2 years ago, I'm going to say that Windsor still had a pretty shitty name, right? There, a lot of investors were not really wanting to come out here. And I am so happy and so glad that I did and took that risk, because since then it's gone off the roof. And now we have Toronto investors. Everybody is calling. I mean, my phone goes off the hook. I'm not even a realtor, but my phone goes off the hook, 10, 15 times a day. What's happening in Windsor? Who do I talk to? You got a property for me? I want a building. I mean, there's so much going on, right? So let's get into it. Let's talk about the numbers. We just finished 2020, of course. I shouldn't do that. I should actually share my screen. We got a couple of slides for our audience over here. And let's start with the market. Can you guys see that screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Let me just, I'm gonna blow it up so it's full screen here. All right, cool. Yeah, so this is Windsor Market as a whole. Aditya, do you want to talk us through Windsor and market first?
Let me hook this thing here. Okay, hold on. Okay, perfect. Now I can clearly see the screen. So, what's up, everyone? Once again, welcome to Win City Club. Of course, Savio, like you mentioned, trust me, many investors from all over the country, not just Toronto, Vancouver. Nowadays, I see so many investors looking at it. But one big thing that stopped many investors is fear of not knowing anyone, fear of not having enough support locally. That's where the Win City Club come into picture, because now we are literally like a group of friends always chatting about, hey, what contractor you use, or hey, what property management you use, all those things. That's where the club provides literally ton of value for hundreds of people. So welcome everyone. So let's get to the numbers. I know many of you have been excitedly waiting for this, to hear this, what's going on in Windsor. So like I always, I'm still bullish about Windsor. I still feel Windsor has few more years to ride this wave. If you look at the numbers year to date, compared to 2019, 2020, we still have 7% less listings, which means the inventory is still low, and the sales are 2% more than last year. So which means still the sales are still higher. That means more buyers, low inventory, that's still carrying. And look at this appreciation, 22.37.
Those Toronto investors, man, is those Toronto investors. That's what's happening,
Yeah, Toronto. Nowadays, I've been seeing not just the Toronto, from Halifax, Alberta. I've been hearing investors from different parts of the cities looking at Windsor, because now, the cities like Windsor, who has a bigger city amenities with affordable housing prices, we are the one who is very attractive for them. So even if you look at the average price in December 2020, average sale price is 410, which is still on the low side. So the appreciation, if you would have purchased the property with 20% down last year, now literally you made over 100% return on your money.
Those numbers are crazy. Those numbers are crazy. And every time we have these meetings, every month, I say the same thing. Those numbers are crazy, right? But this is the fact of the matter. I mean, for those of you who went in a couple of years ago, even a couple of years ago, I'm not even talking about 10 years ago, a couple of years ago, you made a lot of money. I can tell you from my personal experience, I'm in a mastermind group with, I want to say, old school Windsorites, right? Guys who have been here a long time. And they started investing in Windsor 10 years ago when nobody was looking at Windsor, in honestly some really shitty, dicey, sketchy neighborhoods. And I got 6 people in my group. I can tell you 4 of them are retired. They are retired, and they're younger than me. They're younger than me. They're not even living in Windsor anymore, some of them, right? They're just going off on vacations for 6 months, and they're letting their properties pay all that vacation time off, driving really nice cars. And now they become money lenders because that's how much money they came into once they refied these properties, because they paid off the properties. It's cash flowing. They refied. They're millionaires, and they invested 10 years ago. If you invested 2 or 3 years ago, that can happen to you. It's still happening, right? $400,000 average sales price. Look in the whole of the GTA or Ontario. That's on the still really on the low end. So I absolutely agree with the thing of the deal.
What people fail to realize about Windsor, and this is what some people I find have some basically the stigmatization, is that we are just kind of by ourselves. But what people fail to realize is we have Detroit, and Detroit's not the Detroit of 2004, 2005, or even the 90s and 80s, right? Detroit is one of the most hip and trendiest places in North America. It is our version basically of Toronto. We have football games. We have with the NFL. We have the MLB. We have the NBA, right? They're getting a soccer team. They have Google already in Detroit.
PGA is there as well.
Yeah, they have Amazon, $400 million new distribution center going in Detroit. They have Google already, right? They have all these big companies that places like Toronto or other cities are living. And I've been talking to a lot of investors in Detroit, and Sav, you invest heavily in Detroit as well. And people are constantly moving from the California area and from the New York area to Detroit. And we're not just going up because Windsor's Windsor. We're going up because we're being surrounded now by a city that's also improving, that is much larger than us, and that has major amenities similar to Toronto.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Aditya, because this Detroit and the proximity of Detroit to Windsor is really understated, right? A lot of people ask me, why Windsor? And when I bring this point up, we're close to Detroit, people are like, okay, and so what? Detroit's a dump. They're bankrupt, right? Nah, you're still living on old media news, right? Get yourself updated, because as Jeremy said, you got big sports teams over here. And here's the thing, it's not only for entertainment people go across the border. There's a lot of people living in Windsor who actually work in Detroit. So they are essential workers, you know, in the hospitals, nurses, doctors that are moving back and forth. There's a lot of traffic. I'm not even talking about all the consumer goods and the fruits and vegetables and groceries that come across back and forth, but people living in both cities. So we are very much linked to Detroit in that sense, okay? And it's a massive, massive selling point for Windsor, because literally I can get from my house to my project in Detroit in about 20 minutes, right? That's closer to get from Toronto, from one side of Toronto to the other side of Toronto driving. Closer, right? Forget about something outside the city. Toronto to Etobicoke is today, you know, 30 minutes in traffic. So it is a huge, huge selling point. Okay, what else? What else can we say about Windsor, Aditya?
So, you know, one common question that I was heard, oh, how long this is going to be riding this wave? You know, that's one thing that I want to touch on. Here's the thing, like the demand and the supply, if until there is a demand for a product, that you know, the prices will go up. That means from the recent CRA plan of bringing in more people to Canada, which means there is opportunity for at least out of 100 people that Canada bringing in, there will be at least a 1% coming to Windsor. So that means there is still.
Where'd you get this figure 1%? I think it's going to be much more than 1%, right?
So based on, I have another, I didn't put it in the slides, but there is I'm working on a PDF to create like a Windsor guide. My assistant did a ton of research and she found like, you know, very conservatively, there is like over 1%, but very, very conservatively, at least 1% of the whole immigration that is coming to Canada is moving to Windsor right now, because the Windsor population, if you look at just Google, don't even like do too much research. Windsor population in 2017 and Windsor population 2020, there is like over 70,000 increase.
Yeah,
which is like insane.
Yeah, I've been checked recently. What is it, like 3.5% or something population growth in Windsor, right? I mean,
yeah.
What Aditya is referring to is our Canadian immigration policy, where, you know, the Canadian government is really hell bent and stressing the fact that we are going to be, I think it was 1.2 million.
1.2 million.
Yeah.
Which
in four or 5 years.
That's huge.
So it's huge, right? And out of which 60% is coming to Ontario. There's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah.
40% is going to go to places like, I don't know, BC or the prairies, or, you know.
But even if we get 2% of that, that's almost equivalent to 10% of our population. That's massive. And our houses, we don't have enough new builds going for that.
Yep, exactly.
And that's what I think what people are, this is what I've been telling a lot of my clientele here. So our average price is what in Windsor around, what would you say, about $450? Our average price right now?
$410. Let's go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So a new build right now, if we wanted to sell a brand new build to our client, your detached house, right? $600,000, $650,000, $700,000. So a new build is not even the same price as what a medium or an average price is, which means that all these house prices will be going up because, as you were saying, the price, like the supply and demand, is only going up. As basically, all the new builds are not catering to anyone that can't afford more, you know, less than the average price, right? So these $600,000 houses, and you'll be surprised on the amount of, for example, one of the guys in my office was in a bidding war on a $900,000 house, which sold for $300,000 over ask. Damn. So when people are going, oh, well, what's going on with Windsor? Multiple offers on $1 million houses. Wow. So the demand's there, the supply is not there, right? And people are saying, well, I want a house for $200,000. That's pretty much almost gone now. So if you really want to get in, like, I mean, basically the barrier of entry, the demand, I mean, is like $300,000. So even get your foot in the door. Could you get a house for $250,000? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, you really have to get your search pretty much almost $300,000 to even get in the market now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we would have had this conversation, which we did 4 months ago, it would have been 250. That we're already going up $50,000 in less than half a year.
And this is in the midst of a pandemic, guys. Let's not forget about that, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, today, our favorite politician came out with the new lockdown rules, right? So everything's getting back to square one, even though we have a vaccine in place and so on and so forth. Don't get me started on that. But getting back to real estate, we're hitting these record numbers during a pandemic. So what the hell is going to happen after the pandemic? We're going to have a pandemic when it comes to real estate because there's no way to go, right? We are pushing from all angles, from all sides. So if you ain't in the market right now, man, I don't know what more to say, right? Okay.
And as of today, all construction is shut down. Anything that's not built, right? It's my knowledge there. So
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of people missing out. Like, if you can't build a house, which it's now almost 2 years to build a new build. If that gets pushed back even further, there's no supply. You will have to buy resale.
Yeah, but that's restricted to new construction, eh? So renovations
Yes.
in your home can still carry on.
Any permits that were issued that was not issued before 12th, you cannot work.
Yeah, and I was talking with Thompson Asset Management. Shout out to Graham Thompson there. He basically said after today they can't take on any new jobs until something changes there. That's for renovations too.
That's important to keep in mind, right? So for new investors who are going to buy something and who have the burst strategy in mind where they would need to renovate, consider the fact that you might not be able to do something for at least 28 days. Who knows? After that, it is going to open up again, right? So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So that keep your finances in order. That you'll be able to hold or carry those costs while we get out of this lockdown period, right? So
that's a great point, Seb. That's one thing I advise anyone who is getting in. This is the times where don't crazily over leverage yourself. Just you gotta have extra cash or line of credits or some kind of form of money that available for you, because right now, because of this crazy lockdown, even the vacancy for renting, people are not moving as often as they used to.
right.
So the units are sitting vacant, but no matter what happening, still the properties are moving so quickly. So one of the reason that I feel is this: the demand for small cities, the demand for still the Windsor is in the map as affordable housing prices. So that's attracting home buyers as well. Like recently, I started to see a lot more home buyers coming from Toronto because they couldn't find under 600 a big, nice, good size house in Kitchener. They couldn't find in London now. Now they're coming to Windsor. So because now they have like work from home option for next 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. That's one of the major reason as well. So going back to the numbers, just pretty much I think we covered all these points here, why this beautiful city is growing in demand.
Okay.
Savio, move on to the next slide.
Perfect. Before we get into the neighborhoods, and we're going to break down these numbers in per neighborhood to see where investors should be investing and why. And I want to go back to the chat group. We got a big audience following us right now, watching live. Thanks, guys, for coming online. But listen, if you got any questions about Windsor, now's the time to ask. So, just don't sit back on the sidelines and watch. Ask your questions so we can get them answered right now. Okay, let's dive into the neighborhood. Aditya, I think you're going first. What's
Sure.
our first neighborhood here?
So if you just slide next, you should have the West Windsor. Yep.
Okay, so what are we looking at?
Yeah. So this is one of my most favorite neighborhood, and which is for multiple reasons. So if you see the map here where the West Windsor is, just at the end, the new bridge construction already started a year ago. So the construction is going on, and there is another bridge that is already existing, and the university just off of that bridge where the West number 2 is. So this is more like a blue collars, people who are working for bridge, and actually also there is a access to E0 highway. So a lot of blue collar people who are working, they live here in this area, and also like access to US. That's like literally off a bridge. So it's kind of a combination of multiple things, and still underrated in my opinion. This location, if you look at the average sale price, so listing price, let's ignore that, average sale price. So because of the COVID, this is one area that got impacted where the appreciation was not as much as, actually there is no appreciation in last 1 year because of the majority of the tenants in this area was like, student rentals. And because of the COVID, the student rentals kind of paused. So if you see the average prices in January, this is 2020. So 317, and in December it drops to 287. So and if you look at the numbers in the middle, pretty much like they're fluctuating. February 20, that's when the pandemic, I think pretty much we started in mid-March.
Yeah.
So 254 dropped, 260, 254 again dropped. It's kind of pretty much stabilized. Whereas if you compare with other neighborhoods, this 2020, especially in residential areas, crazy appreciation. The overall appreciation that you saw, you will see in other neighborhoods. But this is the pretty much like the university area kind of. The appreciation was not that crazy.
What I'm hearing, Aditya, is that there's opportunity. So if there's no appreciation,
exactly,
still get into a market, for quite a low price, under $300,000 for a for a what? Are we talking about single family homes? Are we talking about student rentals? Can you let our audience know about that?
I mean, again, depends on, right? There are single families that rent. A lot of immigrants live in this area. There are like pockets like in just in the center of this West Windsor, right here. Like there is a street called Bloomfield, Chippewa, South King and Queen, couple of streets in this pocket where a lot of immigrants, families with kids, they live here. So these are the pockets where you can either get a single family that has 3-bedroom, 2-bath under 300, still a pretty good one. Not even like just, if you're going on the high, close to 300, you'll get a very clean 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-bath, like for a family. Or you can get like 5-bedroom, 2-bath, those kind of houses.
What would those rent for, the single family?
So right now, I have a single family that is rented for 1,500, 3-bedroom, 1-bath. That's like okay condition. And it's been like for last 2 years. So right now I would say 1,500 to 1,800, very conservatively 1,500, on the high side 1,800.
Okay, so you're
my gem of a spot. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So you're basically going to be cash flowing, a couple of $100. You're not cash flowing tons of money. This is really, long-term play. So you're buying something, if it's a single family, you're buying something that you keep in, and you're going to get that appreciation over time, right? Once the rest of Windsor is kind of maxed out, people are going to start more coming to this side. We got the new bridge coming up. You could possibly get more if you make it a shorter term rental to the bridge employees, for example, if it's in the nicer part of Sandwich Town, right? You also mentioned that it's close to the university, so I'm assuming there's a lot of student rentals there. Right?
Student rentals, yeah. So the first, if you see where this white rectangle shape, so this pocket is pretty much like a
they can't see your screen. I'm projecting from my screen.
So okay, sorry, my bad. So where you see that rectangle shape, that's the one. That whole bigger one, not just a small one. Yeah. So just further down. Yeah. Down towards the riverside. Riverside. So down. Yeah. Where the number one. Yeah. No. Further down. Down towards the river. Point where the red dot is.
Oh, you mean
So that rectangle. Yeah. Yeah, so that rectangle, you see that that Sandwich Street and Mill Street, that's the streets. In between that towards the bridge, that's whole streets. All those streets are mostly students.
I want to talk a little bit about students, Aditya and Jeremy, because a lot of investors, a lot of questions I get is, okay, students are gone, COVID has come, schools are empty, they're doing online classes, yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. Is it the right time to get into student rentals? What's your?
It is.
That's my favorite topic.
It is.
Okay,
So,
overwhelmingly yes.
okay, so strong answer, yes. But one caution is have some savings. At least be in a position that you can hold the property for next 6 months to 1 year. If you do that, like you need probably if you're buying a 300,000 property, you need $1,000 a month. To hold for 1 year, you need like $12,000. If you have $12,000, like right now, you're getting over 50,000 discount, over 50,000 for a 5-6 bedroom house. That can easily rent for over 500 per bedroom, which can make you over $1,000 cash flow once the market is back to normal.
Okay.
So there is a good opportunity, especially if you're looking into student rental. If you want to get into student rental, this is the time I feel, because whereas the rest of the market is the competition, bidding wars. But right now in the student rental, there is no competition, there is no bidding war until unless the property was like real listed low and presents really well. Until unless that case, no bidding war. So it's a good
It's a
time for.
complete 180-degree turnaround, eh? Because I remember having this discussion when we first started this series on Windsor Market updates almost a year ago. You couldn't find a student rental available.
Yeah.
There was nothing on the market. People, as soon as it came up, there was bidding wars. It was going nuts when it came to student rentals. Now, there's a 50,000, as you said, discount, and some people are scared to buy these, right? Which I don't understand why. Jeremy, do you have anything to add on that?
So,
actually, I'm going to give one quotation here that reminds always, like some favorite investor says that, only when the wave goes off, you will see the people who are swimming naked.
Warren Buffett. Love it. So basically, the way I see student rental is pre-COVID. That was my bread and butter of a market. That was one of my biggest focus. I would get a call, probably a few calls a day about student rentals. Basically, I think we got hit with a bunch of things all at once. Obviously, COVID was a big thing. Another big thing we had was the mortgage changes. I don't think we've talked about that. Was basically with the normal property, you need 20% down. I've seen upwards of about 40% now for some student rentals. That's not always the case. Always talk with your mortgage advisor about that. But there has been some mortgage changes for some of these student rentals / boarding houses. But overall, as everyone's mentioned, that was a huge cash flow play for a lot of properties. I think with COVID, it's opened a lot of eyes to people that have invested in the student rental market, and they have focused on basically getting even closer to even better streets. For example, trying to get as close as possible. One of my close friends who's a big student rental, and he's a realtor himself, basically he's purely trying to invest as close as possible on California. And basically that's kind of my idea is I would say if you're going to be on the West End, really try to focus in and around that Indian Avenue area. Kind of try to stay as close as possible within those first couple, 2 to 3 streets is your prime area. Anything above and beyond that, you're obviously, it could be risky, but obviously once things open back up to normal and whenever that is, we will be having possibly 5,000-6,000 students coming into, and they're just not going to have any places to stay. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity. As I mentioned, it was one of my hottest things to sell pre-COVID. And I think once those people that only feel comfortable investing when everyone else is investing, kind of like that Bitcoin mentality, you will see the student rental market probably pick up, and it will probably be one of the more popular markets because everything else has, once again, gone up 20% so far this year, where the student rental market is probably at the COVID levels now. It did drop tremendously. It's now maybe at where it was at. So it's a great time to invest, and you're basically buying January 2020 prices.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, we talk about it on the show all the time, guys. For those of you who are still learning about Windsor, Windsor as a city is, I want to say highly dependent, but we are dependent on students. We have 2 big schools over here, the University of Windsor and St. Clair College. And all in all, I think we are talking about, in excess of 15,000 combined, 15,000 international students coming to Windsor. These guys provide so much to the economy that the city of Windsor wants them back. Okay, it's not in the interest of city of Windsor to say, let's move completely to online courses and not get students back. The city wants these students back because they're renting, obviously, they're paying taxes because a lot of them work. You know, you go to Walmart, you find a lot of Indian kids working in Walmart who are students, right? So they pay their taxes, you know, that's providing the government coffers with some money. They go and spend their money in restaurants, clubs, whatever, right? Entertainment, you know, so it's adding to the economy. It's the best interest of Windsor to bring these students back as soon as possible. We talked about that. I want to add one more thing. I'm looking at an article that I just found the other day from the immigration minister, and he's talking about basically Canada as a country now is giving students who have graduated from Canadian university, international students, they're giving them an 18-month open work permit. Okay, so they're not PRs, permanent residents yet, but they're extending their work permit to 18 months to allow these guys to find a job. Because, excuse me, I don't know what you guys say, but 100% of students who come to Canada to go to school, their intention is to become Canadian, right, and stay in the country. It's not the intention to go back to where they came from. That's not what the whole thing is about coming here. Right, but a lot of them can find jobs in the period after they graduate, which I don't know how much it is. If you guys know, 6 months, do they get 6 months or a year or something to find a job after they graduate? Now, after that period, now it's going. The immigration minister has opened this up for a further year and a half. Okay, so these guys are going to stay. They probably are going to stay in that same house that they went to school in because they can't afford or can't find another place to stay in the meantime before they get a job. Okay, so student rentals, guys, what I see in this area of West Windsor, we got two, you know, to summarize, we got two types of housing. We got the single family home where you can possibly, it's a long-term game, you know, you're not going to cash flow great tons of money, but you're getting into the market at under $300,000, right? Or if you want to go for a student rental and increase your cash flow. Yes, it's a little long-term game now as well because of what's happening with COVID and so on and so forth, but there's a huge opportunity to get into student rentals in the west side of Windsor. Now's the time. Okay, cool. Let's move on.
And before we move on to
Sure.
the next slide, just one quick note here. Many people forget that in West Windsor, there is another small area that is very good family neighborhood. This Malden,
Yeah.
near to the park, just that couple of pockets there, the green, so just off of E0 on the between Huron Church and that pocket. Yep. So that pocket is a pretty decent family neighborhood where you can still find properties probably under 350 and nice bungalow style, you know, single family homes that can make $100, $200, $300 cash flow and still rent out for very good working class families.
All right, cool. Downtown core.
Okay, so this has the mixed things here. Of course, one, the university on the left side, the whole half part of the left side, you know, if you want to like really specific where the Crawford is, Crawford,
right where the bridge is,
and between the bridge and Crawford, so bridge and then Crawford is like where you see that center, the solid line, that's the one. So between that is mostly student rental. And then just off of Crawford, it's kind of, that's where it gets like, you know, you got to be a little bit careful about what properties you're choosing because there are some.
It's downtown.
Downtown, there are some rundown, you know, houses, some kind of, you got to be careful.
There's some riffraff, That's the easiest way to say it.
So if you clean them up, you can find a decent tenants, you know, either immigrant families. That's one of my favorite spot. And also like people who are working in downtown, people who are working in US, they love to stay in this neighborhood because it's very easy for commute. Okay, so going into the numbers, pretty much the price haven't really changed in this area as well because still the chunk of the properties are student rentals. So if you see the average sale price, $294, $134, and if you see the average sale price in December, $297. Pretty much it stayed consistent in 2020. It dropped a little bit in February, April, when it was like totally shut down. And then May slowly started to pick up, but pretty much stayed consistent compared to beginning of the year and the ending of the year. But this is the areas where you can still make good cash flow properties. There are a lot of duplexes in this area, a lot of properties you can still find something under 250. This is the area where you can still find. So if you're like an investor who are just starting out, doesn't have a ton of money, then this is the area you can really find a nice and solid property, do some cosmetic lift, get a good tenant, and sit on it. Probably refinance it once after 6 months or a year. So
yeah, I think one of your first
like
properties was here, right? That I've been
pretty
to.
much on the border, like just pretty much on the border of that. I actually live in the area.
Okay, but
I'm in this corner here.
You're way down here.
Yeah, right there. But I still have a property on that.
So I'm actually right at the top as well.
Yeah, you're downtown here somewhere now, right?
Right there.
So
right there. Yeah.
I'll talk about specific property that I bought in this street,
Yes.
in this
Give
area.
us some numbers.
So just near Crawford and Wyandotte on Wellington. So I have a duplex. I purchased it in 2017 September for 167,000, a duplex, 3-bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So that duplex now at least will appraise for 350. And rented for each unit 3-bedroom. I did a furnished rentals. So one before COVID, it was rented for 1,750 for 3 students who are going to school, because the Wyandotte Street, the bus goes directly to university. Mm-hmm. And upper unit rented for 1,450. The upper unit still rented for 1,450. Lower now I dropped it because the code situation. The previous tenants went out. Now I rented for 1,200.
So you're telling me that you getting rents for, so let's say 3,000, right? Total rents is about 3,000.
Yep.
Or conservatively,
Yep.
you bought for 167. You blew the 1% rule out of the freaking window. That was a year and a half ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah. So if you take it now, the current value would be 350,000. So you're still close to 1%.
Wow. Have you refined recently, or have you tried?
Not yet. I'm still waiting.
You're just building up that equity.
Yeah. I'm actually paying down the mortgage now. I'm at like 100,000 because I was thinking to. This is another area where if you have a bigger lots, maybe the tiny homes, those the new concept, adding an additional unit, but duplexes doesn't qualify for that. I was like thinking to rebuild a 4-plex, something like that, but I haven't. That's why I haven't refinanced. But there is a ton of equity in there.
I mean, personally for me, guys, I think downtown area, I hated it, right? When I first came, I hated it. I thought it was a dump, whatever. But when I look, if I'm putting my mind's eye out there and looking at 5 years from now, downtown probably has more potential for me than even Sandwich, what we talked about, or West Windsor. Okay, and the only reason for that is because there's so much development going on downtown, so much development, which I never thought that would happen. Or, for me, it hit me like a ton of bricks overnight. We talked about
and city is giving so much grants to do some renovations, or to do like this tiny homes. Like agent in my team, Clark, he is the first one who is building tiny home. He got like almost 15,000-20,000 in tax rebates.
Yeah,
crazy,
amazing. And it's a whole. I don't know, Jeremy. Are we talking about downtown in your area as well, or is it just this one over here?
All right. Well, I got 2 properties downtown. I got my condo downtown, which I picked up. That boomed up. I mean, I was in a building that 5 years ago, you could have picked up a unit for probably $50,000. I bought my unit for $165,000. I dropped $40K into it, and it's probably worth between $275,000 to $300,000 now. I picked up a duplex on the MLS back in August there, right? Actually, it was more like July. I think we bought it in August there. I bought it for $210,000, sunk $30,000 into it. And basically that one right there, if I were to refi it today, could be pushing just north of $315,000. So in less than 5 months, I've made probably $250,000 in equity off of 2 houses just in the downtown core.
Wow, that's bank, man. That's bank.
Yeah. And that's just
actually.
And that's not even doing anything silly. That's just basically buying market prices. The condo price, I felt I overpaid for my condo. I bought the view, and the market just jumped up. And you never know. You can never time a market. You buy when something makes sense, and you just buy it. And that's the way I've kind of told my clientele. I didn't think I was going to make I had no plans on making $250,000. All my properties are meant to cash flow. They make sense.
You won the
rent out.
lottery. You didn't have any plans of making $250,000, but you got it. But that goes to show it's the power of pulling the trigger, right? Because if you thought you overpaid at that point, you still pulled the trigger. And now you're $250,000 richer. A lot of people are stuck. They're frozen in their mind. I'm overpaying. The price is high. It's the tip of the market right now. It's the highest possible price. And then they don't, right? And now they have, if hindsight was, if we had 20/20 hindsight, we would have bought so many more properties before.
Right? Oh, I would have been $1 billion in debt and owned half a city block.
Yeah.
More, right?
Probably another set of group will talk about the same story. Oh, I wish I could have bought 5 years ago.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
I want to hear about this 880 OLED. I know you have a great story about this. I was actually just reading the other day.
Did you see this, guys? I mean, you saw this headlines, right? So Toronto
81 units.
80 units. So Toronto investor bought this for a very nice price. He didn't mention how much he paid for it. It's been vacant for a long time. It's a commercial building, downtown core. This is like literally, I don't know. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Can I go this way? I just want to show you. Oh no, I can't do that. But basically, if you go down the street, this is Ouellette. For those of you who don't know Windsor, here. This is the downtown Windsor, and if you see these buildings, these are Detroit. Okay, at the other side of the river there. That's how close we are. Downtown. Beautiful location. Toronto investor bought it for a very nice price. He's putting $3 million into this to convert this commercial unit building into an 80-unit residential complex. Okay. Here's the thing. He's saying it's going to take 16 to 18 months to do this. And every month is $100,000 in carrying costs. He's paying $100,000 in carrying costs, while he goes through the rezoning process and all of that stuff to get this into a residential unit. Forget about the numbers. What I'm thinking to myself is, if he's putting money into this and he's paying $100,000 a month, right? There must be a good goddamn reason why he's investing in Windsor downtown. Okay, so going back to our slide here about the area that we're talking about, downtown has this huge potential because money is coming in. There's a lot of money coming.